I'm just Ushin. I am joined for the first time ever by the amazing, the OG LPL, Karen at Karen Moser. Kelsey, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, and it's fine. You know, you ruin your own rebrand. I ruin my possibility of having a rebrand. People keep telling me to rebrand since Karen is not actually my name, but you know, it's all good.
There has been a couple of
You're doing
times
better than
where
me.
where a couple of times where I've like quickly like Google is like, is she called Karen or Kelsey? Because everyone calls her Kelsey. Is that her name? But no, it's all good. We can be terrible rebranders together as we deep dive into the sort of skewed but very much improved LNG coming into Demacia Cup. LNG Doomby, which is why everyone is here. I'm actually really curious to get your thoughts on this. A massive upgrade, side grade for both the player and the team.
It really depends on what kind of doing B we're going to get. In general, I would say that the doing B we saw at World Championship just did not perform that
Yeah.
to that high of a level. The other element of that, I think, is just depending on how the team itself performs. You see a very different version of doing B on teams that are arguably lower tier or teams that he seems to not believe in as much. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
really curious, like the shades of doing B, you know, his blue period, his red period. What type of doing B we're going to see on LNG this year?
Is that Van Gogh? Is that Van Gogh's like thing? I think. I don't know.
I think
I took like one module in art history,
There's
so
Picasso
Picasso.
is the most defined blue period that I can recall, but I think multiple artists have claimed a blue period. I am not an art person, so
Neither am
that's an
I.
Emily topic. You know, maybe she'll talk about it
Where is
tomorrow. I
Emily
think she's
Rand? God
on.
damn it!
Yeah,
When you need
yeah,
her most, she vanished.
exactly.
Yeah, like I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I am very curious to see how OMG do as well because OMG is that one team that very much doubled down on talent development in their own setup. So the fact that they've brought in these, a couple of pickups similar to the Team WE setup last year, where it's like, okay, we're gonna keep this, change this, keep that, move this forward. It does seem to be working. Of course, Cream is not playing on this roster, I believe, today, so we're not gonna be able to see him. But this OMG roster did look pretty good in groups, so I'm actually curious to see now against a formidable lineup if they can do anything.
Yeah, and I think OMG have always been a team that tries to find a good mix of experienced talent and strong rookies coming up. And I think that you have their top laner Shanji has sort of been the story of that team and someone I'm very excited to continue to play. And against all of this, that is definitely for me the most exciting matchup of the entire roster back and forth here. So that's what I'm going to be focused on
Yeah,
mostly.
I'm also curious to see how Aloe does because going into the World Championships, Aloe was kind of, we had a lot of, shall we say, apprehensions about this particular guy, and he popped off. He did amazing, but we've seen the other side of that coin. If you watched LPL during the regular split or even during playoffs, you know that Aloe could be a god tier player, or like most LPL players, absolutely running it in every single fashion he can possibly discover. So I want to see if he can continue his good streak and maybe get a bit more consistency, because I'll never forget, we were in the dressing room for the World Championship in play-ins, myself, Dagda, and Emily Rand, and Shocks asked all three of us, like, oh, Ale looks like amazing. And we were like, maybe. We're not going to say
Really?
anything just yet.
I mean, honestly, for me, I thought that his improvement throughout summer, like especially the second half of summer, was very steady. So I was actually really, really high on him going into Worlds. I expected him to perform extremely well, and he
Hmm.
did. I think perhaps if you follow my stream, which is going to be like 20 people here in this chat potentially, you're probably aware of the fact that I watch a lot of top lane preview, and that's kind of one of those things that I spend a lot of time doing when I'm going over OPL VODs in particular. So for me, I was always kind of a breathe denier or a breathe doubter. And I slowly
Hmm.
started to hype up Ala more and more and more, especially throughout playoffs. So for
Yeah.
me, it was like Ala and Iwandi were two figures on this LG team that I highlighted a lot. And then now we have a different support player, though I'm not quite sure who's starting tonight. I'd have to check the rosters again, so I'm going to do that real
Yeah,
quick.
you go to that again. I suppose for me, for Allah, it's always going to be. Also, if you're wondering why we're saying Allah instead of Ale, we actually asked him. It's Allah, so he doesn't want
Yeah.
to be called Ale, so that's just how it is. But I just always remember back when he was natural on DMO and his Aatrox TP into like insta death, and he just like immediately. It'll always be ingrained in my memory. I'm a massive supporter of him. I've always been on the natural South Aloe Heist train, but it's always going to be curious. I'm hoping he continues his upward ascension, if you will, to being a much more consistent player, because as we've said a million times, and we'll continue to say forevermore, LPL top lanes are stacked, man. Like, it's just, there's so many amazing top laners. Like, if you want to stand out here, you got to be the best of the best.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more from him and seeing how that goes. And I think that if we really want to throw Shanji in the deep end, this is the matchup to do it in, right? This is the matchup where we're going to be able to see this kind of exciting star from the LDL, see what he has to bring to the table, and I'm really looking forward to his performance tonight.
Right, well, we're gonna have blind pick. If you don't know, and you're only coming in, joining us, first of all, welcome. Secondly, it is blind pick for the first game. Kind of like a reverse LCK. They used to have blind pick as game 5, we have blind pick as game 1 in Demacia Cup. It's just how we do it. But we've seen a lot of Thresh, a couple of double Renekton's popping up there again. Where is the meta right now for you? Where is it sitting in the sense of, has it changed drastically from the Worlds, or are we just kind of seeing, you know, maybe a slight deviation from the original manuscript that was the Worlds meta?
We're seeing a lot more attention devoted towards these hyper carry 80 carries, just even more, I think, than the Worlds meta, in part because of lethal tempo, various other changes, and then of course like the API itemization being very, very strong. So we're going to see a bigger trend, as much as I've been hyping these top laners up, more towards focusing on these types of carries in mid and bot, and then top kind of rounding out in more of a frontline role, I think, is going to be the trend. Though, of course, throughout this tournament, we've still seen a lot of the top lane carries, things like Akali, things like Gwen popping up that have been very, very successful. And then, of course, the Caitlyn's and the Jinxes are just kind of relying mostly on their supports to create peel and zone for them. So I'm expecting to see a little bit of a kind of wonky hybrid transition as things find their place and start to shift a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very curious. I think obviously the objective bounties do give a little bit more safety to those late game AD carries that you can, even if you fall a little bit behind, you can just wait until they pop up, grab a turret on a good macro rotation as such, and then move forward. But we are just waiting to see how this first one goes. Of course, they're just setting up. You know, it's quarterfinals. Demacia Cup. We actually Touchwood. Actually, I don't even know if I should say this because I bloody jinx it now. But we haven't had any major delays. We haven't had any massive issues. It's all been pretty good, which is like unheard of for Demacia Cup. And I'm very excited to continue that trend as we go over the holiday period. And actually, I've been asking everybody this. Do you have any holiday traditions? Do you celebrate the holidays at this time of year?
Oh, I don't. Fun fact about that, actually, I used to celebrate very publicly Chinese League of Legends Classic Day, right? Where I would go back and I would watch like old Chinese League of Legends matches on December 25th from basically the 2000, from as early as like 2011, right?
Okay.
There were some old ones with PDD, and I had some that I would very deliberately watch, and of course, like I would spend a lot of time on IPL 5. So, you know, if you actually care to know that answer, then yes, that was my tradition for a few years when I was covering the LPL. More lately, I've kind of decided to take this week off. I had a very, very, very intensive year, so I'm just kind of relaxing a bit, enjoying myself, spending some time with family, and that's about it.
Nice, nice. Oh, it'll be good times. And if you're ever bored, you know, the stream will be on. You could pop in and say hello. But, I'm just kind of curious there to see what I want to see something crazy from DoinB as we now see the players coming in. I'm gonna swap over to them right now as they get announced on the stage. Have you seen the how they announced the teams onto stage with the trumpet guy? It's pretty amazing.
Yes, I have.
I don't quite understand it, but I love every moment of it. Here we are. I'm gonna be quiet for this.
Nice.
There is a mic, so is he actually playing? I think he is. I think it's like a more advanced kazoo.
I mean, of course, this is Demacia Cup. You have to actually play it, right? Play the trumpet or whatever it is that he's playing. You can't go halfway. You have to go all the way,
Yeah,
as we see.
there ain't no halfway house here, you know. We ain't no bitches. We gotta go full ham. In fairness, I do love. I know. IGN and LCK will always have some of the best like intros for players and stuff like that, and I will never deny that. But in terms of like live events, LPL kicks ass, man. Like, look at him, he's so happy. Look at him go. He's just so into it. I'm absolutely loving him.
And that does confirm that it does look like it's going to be Lumao playing for LNG. So that's going to be a fun look for them. For me, I thought that Iwandi was a top 4 support this year. So very interested in how that's going to affect their performance today.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that one will go. Of course, the LNG very much taking the momentum from their 2021 season and kind of saying, right, let's improve on it, let's build up on it. And I do like Iwandi. I think Iwandi's a great player, but I do think that, you know, looking at it purely on paper, Doomby is going to be the favorable pick over Icon in any world, really. Former world champion, you know, several LPL finals and titles underneath his belt. So see what they're able to do. And of course, it is blind pick. I don't know if we're going to actually see the blind pick. Sometimes they show us. Sometimes they show us the coaches shaking hands and then they move on with their lives. So I'm curious to see. But what do you think is, I'm actually curious about your opinion. What do you think is like the biggest roster change, improvement so far that the LPL has seen?
The biggest roster change or the biggest shift in terms of improvement or upgrades? I mean, I think V5's roster got the biggest upgrades theoretically on paper, with Rookie and Karsa coming up versus a mid jungle duo. Should improve their team the most of all of the team roster changes that we saw. I know that there's going to be a lot of attention given to BLG in particular, but I feel like they just kind of missed the mark for budgetary reasons. Let's be honest. In terms of the top and jungle, we are getting the blind picks coming in. So Ala really toying with the blind pick Fiora here. I think we did see it in one of the games, and it was just answered very poorly. So you never know. Blind pick Fiora might come out again.
Exactly. I think with Ala, it's always going to be a thing of, he can do it, and he was known for it. Camille, Fiora, the Aurelias, some very high-end attacking top laners. Renekton does sort of fall into that, just doesn't scale as hard, and they're going to take away, or going to take even, I keep saying take away because that is a thing that would normally happen in this game, but actually curious to see Jin Leona bot side. They've actually gone with a slightly different combination. Normally see with the Aphelios the Jinx, and in the blind pick, we might actually see a regular pick ban. No overlaps. What? This isn't fun. This isn't, I can't tweet about this.
So this is actually some really good read, right? Because obviously Steel had a lot of success on that Galio, I think, in the group stage. So they just go ahead, lock in that Corki, which is very traditional counter to the Galio. And of course, the Corki build that's been popping up a lot with the Miramana into the Miramana into the Luden's build, right? That I've seen like a little bit in Korean solo queue. Is becoming very popular, and we've seen a lot of good Corki performances this tournament, some from Cryan, things like this. So I think for me, that's kind of like a very interesting choice from Doiby, and we'll see Doiby and see what exactly he brings to make that pop. And that's going to be their hyper carry, right? Which is why they're putting light more on a supportive Jin carry type picks instead of the hyper carry Aphelios or the Jinx or the Caitlyn that we've seen so often.
We'll see how they're able to make it work. I don't know why my eyes just deceived me there because of the way the Renekton was. I thought he had like helicopter blades on his shoulders. I was like, when did they add that to that skin? That's insane. But yeah, gonna be a pretty standard one. But I was gonna say actually, sorry to cut you off, but there is a couple of glitchy skins in the game that are just I think they're just like not allowed in the game anymore. I don't think Elementus looks you're actually allowed to play in competitive because of like clarity issues.
I don't think so either, but I was just saying that I would really dig like a helicopter Renekton skin to combo with the Corki. That would definitely give them immediate synergy points there. And I think like the way that you're playing Renekton, right? You're flanking in from the side. It feels like there's just suddenly a helicopter in your face. I'm not going to spoil the new Matrix movie, but there's a lot of helicopters. We'll just say that. So.
It's a Matrix movie. It's a lot of action and helicopters. That's all you need to know. I haven't actually, fun fact, I've never seen any of the Matrix movies. Not a single one.
I will say that I've never seen the third one, and I went to see the new one, and
A little lost.
yeah, I will just say if you haven't seen the third any of the movies in the trilogy, you should probably see those because it
See,
didn't work for me
I was kind of
without
hoping
seeing the
I
third
was
one.
kind of hoping it wouldn't be like that because I was like, oh, maybe I'll just like pick it up from here. Like I like Keanu Reeves, I think he's really cool. Like a couple of the other actors as well, I recognize. I was like, oh, that seems cool, and I've always wanted to try out this franchise, but. If I can't, like, if it's literally a fourth movie and a sequel rather than, like, either, like, a reimagining or kind of like here's a quick synopsis of what happens, yeah, like, then I'm probably not going to
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah, definitely not. That's my recommendation for the stream. So, all right, so we are seeing, ooh, engage on to bottom lane. Just going to be a quick trade though, and then of course top lane going pretty much as expected. Nothing too shocking in the lane matchup so far, and expected to see this Galio trade in the mid.
Oh, speaking of trades in the bot side, it's Luomao getting pushed back very heavily. Has to flash himself away. Ignite to go down from Cold. And this is someone who fell under a lot of people's radars, I feel like, a lot of the time. Cold is a fantastic support, especially on these hard engages. He flashes forward. They go in. They're going to try and take that first blow, but the heal is not going to be enough to take him down. No, they will eventually trade it back.
Oh.
2 for 1. Tarzan, though, in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and you had basically the Aki showing mid, right? Earlier on that situation, you had Doinby backing out. So you knew that there was a window where Doinby could TP to match this, even though he would have to give up a wave for it. Overall, if Corki's going to pick up a kill instead of a wave, he's going to outscale the Galio anyway. He's pretty happy with this trade overall, especially since the wave position, Galio had to push everything in. Galio does get a free back off of this, so he's going to have a good window around like 5:30 where he just has an uncontested roam. Because Doinby will be a little bit behind on that XP, but in general, I think the setup for LNG, I would take that trade every time.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty favorable one. As you said, you could lose the TP, but you're not too bothered about that. The Galio, obviously waiting until level 6, has that or grand entrance, I should say. And or is it heroic entrance? There's 2 entrances. One's Rakan and one's Galio. I forget which one is which. I'm going to Google that.
I believe it's the heroic entrance for the Galio. Yes,
Yeah,
I believe that.
I'm gonna trust your intuition on that one.
Because it makes sense, since Rakan isn't really a hero. He's more of a dancer, you know? Very grand, flashy entrance. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you never
I'm
watched
going
Dirty
with that.
Dancing and didn't see that he was a hero? My God. Oh, speaking of dives now, we're gonna see a bit of an entrance coming into the spot side. No level 6 though, but Luomao.
Oh.
He's a little bit caught between a rock and a hard place. They've dodged the aggro. Nicely done. That's going to be Abel picking up a kill. So good trade back, but not to be outdone. LNG now roaming towards this top. They're going to try and make Shanji pay for the sins of his his mid and jungler roaming towards bot. It should be a pretty easy affair. No ghost available. TP is going to come in, though. They're going to try and just mitigate as much as they can. He's surviving a hell of a long time, and Doomby not quite able to get him just yet. Now he does. We do get the knock-up. Tarzan, though, will fall. It's a 1-for-1, so all said and done, it's even Stevens.
I think overall as well, this is not that great of a look for the OMG side because he is going to end up losing that top wave. Plus, the state of the mid wave is going to be bouncing back to Doinby. Plus, Doinby picked up that kill. Already 2 kills on this Corki at 5:30. That's going to be a pretty accelerated build. He also has the first strike, so you have to think of that gold compounding. Yeah, I think that this is definitely favorable for LNG overall. Plus, you got the TP, so keep that in mind.
That's true. That is very, very true. So now we got to look. Gold is pretty much dead even. There's only a dragon in the favor. But like you said, it is a bit of a CS advantage accruing and probably an experience advantage as well accruing for Alu in that top side over Shanji. He's actually just been pushed in towards that mid lane. I like these little moves you see from solo laners to kind of say, look, you know you're going to lose out too much. You need to just make this move and try and help out as much as possible. So they neither mid laner nor top laner loses as much, but it still doesn't feel good.
I feel like this Corki pick, right? Normally you think about Corki in a traditional way of, oh, I need to farm, be very, very careful, catch the waves as the mid laner roams, and then be able to get to a point where it's level 6. I'm picking up my package in time for an objective, and I can have a very successful neutral fight. But no, this is a doing B Corki, right? This is I know for sure the enemy it's LPL, so my side lanes are going to play extremely volatile. Enemy side laners are going to play extremely volatile. I'm just going to roam and I'm going to pick up kills that way. No one really wants to see us in lane. Not really. So, you know, having a fun time as the Corki, getting the gold that way rather than just staying on farm. But because of that last play, he is ahead in CS.
Yeah, to be expected, as you said. DMB Corky loves to roam, loves to get out there and make things happen for his team. We've seen it many a time on many a champion. And for OMG, actually, I was just noticing there, Abel's got himself a call, but actually Steel going to jump in now onto DMB. Might be a little bit... Yeah, I was going to say, in a little bit of trouble, forced to flash away, and this is what you can do now as the Galio. You have that pressure with the Predator, you have ways of just getting on top of the enemy carries and really putting yourself into an obnoxious state on top of LNG.
But if you are playing the Xin Zhao Galio, you really do have to feel pressured versus the Corki. Otherwise, the Corki just gets free pot shots on you over and over, starts beginning to get, you know, stacks of the... starts getting first strike gold, starts getting free harass onto you. You have to force a fight or you're going to be low HP. And you have the Xin Zhao working with you, so that should happen, but they haven't been able to really get anything off. Just getting that flash there is basically the best victory that they've had as a 2v2.
Well, Rift started off, and I don't think there's going to be much else for LNG, or sorry, OMG to do about it. I think the pressure in mid and top just means it's a free objective, but an OMG not able to make the gank happen bot side either.
As long as they just keep vision on Colt and his roams, they see him pretty conveniently there, I think that they're in a good spot. I think they're happy to take this Rift Herald in exchange for the red buff trade, but on the plus side, they are in position to rotate now into the bot line with basically Galio ult and flash up. And if they can get some plates and start accelerating Jinx, that's kind of the direction that they're going to need to go to have a chance against this Corki as the game progresses.
Corky's such an unfun champion in my mind. He's so uninteractive. He doesn't offer even his Zir. At least his Zir's ultimate has something. I'm gonna stop myself with my little mini rant as Alu jumps in onto Shanji and then just takes him out. Very easy kill. This is the power of Renekton. It's probably why we see LPLs just prioritizing him so much. And now DMB has the package. He'd be fine. Aki though, ooh, that's a lot of damage. But yeah, I don't like Corky. I'm gonna end it with that.
I think the thing about Corky that's fun is like kind of that package mechanic, right? Where it's, you know, on those time intervals that he's going to have that package and objective fights are going to be difficult. I think the best way to counter it is basically what we just saw on the screen, right? Aki engaged into him, forced him to burn the package, and now that he can't really use it to bait before a neutral. It's kind of weird to me that he had it on that interval instead of basically looking for a recall timer here right before Drake. Something like this to pick up the package and set up the neutral fight there, because that would have been very impactful in that window.
OMG though are stacking the Drakes. They have got the first movement on bot lane and in the river, so they might look to try and get their second one there. Cole is around. No flash available to Doomby. You got to remember that. That's going to make it a very difficult situation for him should he get caught out, but again, still a Corki, still plenty of range past level 6 to be able to just farm that up, no problem at all. It's about a 900 gold ahead, so really is doing well to really punish out this Galio. And like you said, if the Galio's not putting down the pressure with the endless amounts of CC that he has, then it's going to be very difficult for them to maybe transition that into a mid to late game team fight. They're actually going to skip out on contesting the dragon just at the moment and just go for pure plates. This is going to, again, further accelerate this Corki, and as well as the Lee Sin, who is, again, also about 800, 900 gold ahead.
Yep. I think even then they can use the Rift Herald pressure to get positional advantage on the dragon and begin to take it if they want it. I think that if, like I said, if I'm the Jinx right now, I'm not overly concerned with the dragon. What I am concerned with is trying to get bot side vision control, right? Set that up and just start using like soft pressure to keep chipping away at that turret. It is kind of concerning that you're not able to get a lot of plates off of the bot turret. It is Jhin able to... Oh, as we're taking on the top fight.
Yeah, we're going to see Alu as Dominus, as Flash, gets himself out. There's the needlework from Shanji. And there's enough pressure in the top side just to back him away. But there's a Super Mega Death Rocket. Ooh! Good timing on the Dominus. You can even see him. He's like, I'm fine. And he's like, wait a minute. There's a Jinx. press. But Dragon now goes over to LNG, and then we get some Hex Gates.
Yep, we are going to get some Hex Gates Dragon and some basically nice damage off on the Soul if that does get taken, which, let's be honest, it's going to get taken. So that'll be a fun one to watch in terms of like the little spews of... I'm going to stop talking. Anyway.
It's all good. It's a co-stream. It's the small little moments.
I think, but as I was saying, it's nice that the Renekton is ahead in turrets because that Jinx should be able to find windows to chip on the turret, even with Jhin having so much wave control, right? You have the Nautilus who's constantly taking pressure. You can force split maps with Xin Zhao. You can do things to force them off the turret continuously, but they're not doing that. Instead, Ala is able to just do so much damage versus Shanji's Gwen. So it's nice that Aki basically went up to relieve some of that pressure. They burned the flash. They burned the ultimate. So hopefully this means that OMG's bot lane can focus on the bot turret and try to still secure that bot T1 first. Get Jinx out of the lane and try to accelerate her build a bit more to that 2-item point where they're happier taking fights.
I think the Hex Tech Gates, Jesus, that's a mouthful. I think they have like a pseudo fun to them, if that makes sense, because you don't really see like crazy outplays or crazy positionings from them. I know we haven't seen a lot of games with them, but I don't know. I find myself included just kind of forget about them, and it's just like you just use them to get back. It's like the Rek'Sai farm alarm, you know. You just get back and farm. Oh, flash forward, gonna land the hook. Dredgeline goes down, but Tarzan able to get himself away with the safeguard. But now Shanji on top of Alu. I don't think the Renekton wins this fight. In fact, I know the Renekton doesn't win this fight. And he's gonna have to try and run away. He's one level ahead, and he's still running away. Just about survives. Has got the Dominus and the extra healing from his Call the Meek. Keep himself nice and healthy. 2 levels ahead, and he still couldn't win. But now Doonby. Dun, da, 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 da. There he is. Now he's gonna try and jump down on top of it, but the shield bow. That's why you go shield bow, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need the Everfrost. You don't need the crown. You just need survivability. And now on the bot side, the Nautilus has died. And now Abel's trying to see if he can take down anyone else with Aki. They will get Lumao. And the Jinx will fall straight after it. LNG, however, will get first turret. That's not a distracting graphic at all. And now we go back into the fight, into the pit, as we try and get them down. Tarzan just about survives. And LNG continuing their push in the top side. They're continuing to get advantages.
Someone redeem a hydrate or something, because that was a long one. All right. Oh, but the
it doesn't end. It doesn't end. But I actually think Shanji loses this one. They're going to have to commit the second TP to this one. It's going to be the solo lanes versus solo lanes. Top and mid versus top and mid. But Shanji, it's also very low. It's not quite available just yet. So they're not able to kill him off. Will he be able to get him? No! The sprinkling of health just left. And while this was happening, Tarzan said, all right, guys, I need to chill. I'm taking the objective. And hey, there we go. Hex Gates.
I admire the commitment from OMG there, right? That you lose a fight on the top, you lose a fight in the bottom. You know, let's just double TP top side on the over section on the top, the T2 push, and see if we can pick something up, right? Definitely a one of those situations where you've lost all of your money at the casino and you just decide to spend your last pocket money on some chips to see if you can get something at the blackjack table so you don't feel quite so bad going home empty-handed. But they are going to pick up the Rift Herald for that. Can pick them up a lot of gold, especially since objective bounties are coming up. They should be saving that for whatever lane the Jinx is going to be in and try to hand that over and try to finally get this champion online.
Trying to do something. Shelly gets locked up, and you know, I calls them like I sees them. We do have objective bounties, though. That thing that all pro players hate for some reason. Even though I'll be totally honest, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. I'll personally say, at least not in my games. I mean, they're losing too hard or winning too hard for it to matter. But that's going to be...
Probably not until, you know.
No.
So.
I'm not a pro player. I cannot, or even a high-level coach. I could not discern what is good and what is bad sometimes. I just gotta go, that's not busted. I'm gold 3. Anyway. But LNG now looking to see if they can make something work. Alu going to pop his Dominus. They are going to stand stun up, lock up, and that ultimate won't do a lot if everyone's inside your circle, your area, your personal space, if you will, for Aki, and he dies. And now with the dragon alive, they're going to be able to pick themselves up the first Hex Drake.
Yeah, I'm just loving... I'm just loving the acceleration that we're seeing from LNG here. Like, love or hate Hex Gates, they're definitely zooming around the map without them, as it were. Picking up as many fights as they can, keeping pressure. They're going to recall and get this dragon and probably move into retaking topside control and taking the fight to OMG there as well.
Sorry, I had to fix the command. I forgot the command was for casters was on something else, so it was still on Dagda and Lyric, so I had to just quickly swap that one out. And yeah,
I can do a Lyric impression. You know, I can swear more.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
To?
I mean, you would have to dumb down your knowledge quite a lot for it to be accurate, but
Oh.
Jordan, I love you. I don't mean it.
I just figured it would be easier for you to do Dagda and me to do
the Irish,
the accents would align at least, but you know,
the really funny thing for me is that the Irish accents that myself and Dagda have are mild compared to most standard Irish accents. And that's what I find really, really funny about the whole thing is people go, wow, they're so Irish. And I'm like, no, we're not. Trust me. It's like, I remember Jordan, he was over in Ireland for the LPL finals and he had to stream from my house one day because his internet was just terrible. And he met my dad, and he just went, wow, you weren't kidding. And I was like, yeah, my dad also isn't even the most Irish of Irish. Like, my dad is, like, pretty neutral as well. You got, you know, the top of the morning to you. My name is Joe Sushi, and I'm here now with Kelsey Moser for a little bit of the LPL. Like, you got actual people like that, so.
Of course.
But, yeah, a little bit of Irish accent, I don't know, trivia. I guess.
Well. Dreamby does have the package, so I'm expecting action to break out here.
Yeah. Oh my God! Jesus! What?
I wasn't even action.
Yeah,
that was just an assassination.
Yeah, it's like
goodbye, Abel. I keep saying we need to get Jinx online. It's like doesn't matter if Jinx is online if we're just gonna snare and pop instantly with that package.
Yeah.
Coming over the wall now.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
They got a turret down bot lane though. OMG getting that objective bounty. Look how broken it is. Look how amazing it is. God.
All right. This is a little bit.
I'm just flaming because I love when pro players go on Twitter and act as if like the game isn't always changing every year, and it's just such a weird entitled thing, and I'm just like, come on guys, let's get on with it. Like but yeah, honestly, base broken. I don't see a lot of ways for LNG to come back at this, or sorry, not LNG, OMG to come back at this, unless Shanji gets another 2.5 items and he absolutely smurfs it in team fights. They don't really have much else going for them.
All right, we are going to see the long range engage repeated here. We have Abel falling a little bit too far forward, and there wasn't even a snare there. That was basically just all the Corki damage. Holy shit. Anyway.
Yeah. That is the correct response.
There we go.
They were actually, yeah.
That's just the Galio as well. So.
Yeah, so just proving to everybody the traditional Corki build. You know, everyone loves Corki and Ezreal are those two champions in the game that everyone loves, just trying out different AP/AD scaling combinations. I'm going to stop myself very quickly as Cole gets engaged on. Steel going to go in with the taunt, try and get something going for him. But the Jhin from a million miles away, shooting from Narnia, trying to see if he can get this damage down. The flash from Cole is good to keep him alive. You can see a Steel going golden, try and keep him alive. Abel does end up going down. There's the heroic entrance to try and keep everyone going. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. A little bit of Linkin Park to set up your days. OMG running for the hills, LNG running to the base, and LNG going to be able to take this first game no butter.
So what LNG kind of accepted that teams sort of need to drop the ego and accept when it's blind pick is range is probably going to be king. When you
Yeah.
have new rosters, new teams, you're just going to look at each other and open lanes a lot. Just pick the longest range champions that you can think of or that you think are playable in the meta or blindable. That's probably a pretty solid strategy. You've got your Jin, your Corki, even Lee Sin has a bit of long range engage. So I think they're pretty